I'm going to go over the rock, paper, scissors assignment. And I am actually going to build that for you. I'm going to demo how I would build that, which may be useful to you, it may not. You may have already completed it, which would be great. And I'm not suggesting that you follow my code step by step, word by word, but I do want to make sure that I'm not leaving people behind as we keep moving forward through the class. So I'm going to go through and start from super scratch here and build the rock, paper, scissors for you. So let's dig into that. I know that I'm going to import random here because I'm going to need that random choice for the computer. Okay. So this is where my functions are going to go in a minute. And my main program goes below that. It's good to stay organized. And we're going to do, like I keep saying, and we're going to work from the outside in. So I'm going to define the main program structure first. So let's start with main loop while true. Okay. So the main program is going to keep running until player quits. Okay, so let's start with a little welcome. Okay, so there's my welcome message function. And I am going to now get into the game loop. This loop is going to continue until somebody wins the game. So I'm going to put another while loop inside here, true, while true. But before we start the game, we need to initialize a few variables, right? I need to set before we get into the game and start playing, I need to set the player's score and the computer score to 0. Okay, so I'm going to zero int c score equals 0. So while the game is going on, we're going to change those variables, but each time they start a new game, they're going to be reinitialized at 0. So I'm going to now I'm going to get the player's input, str equals get player guess, strc input equals get computer guess, and I'm going to now see who won. Equals get winner, and I'm going to give it the player input and I'm going to give it the computer input. Okay, so if we're keeping track here, I've got 4 functions now that I need to do. def welcome def. I need to get player guess and get computer guess. Get player guess. Did I write the whole thing out? Yeah, I did. Okay. def get computer guess. And I'm getting little error markers here because my functions are empty and it doesn't like that, but it'll get over it in a little bit here when I put some stuff in there. And then get winner. And that is going to take strcg, player guess, and str computer guess. It's going to take those as strings, and it's going to return the winner. Okay, so I got who won, and if str who won equals p, then int p score plus equals 1. So I'm going to increment the player score by 1. elif str who won equals c int c score plus equals 1. Now I could do an else here and say if, because it's either a player or a computer or it's a tie. I could say tie, don't do anything if I wanted to, like an else. But I don't really need to, because if neither of these is true, then I don't have to do it. I don't increment anybody's score. So I'm just going to say if and elif. I would not say if and else, because then it increments the computer score on the tie. So basically, if it comes back a tie, it just doesn't do anything here. Now I just have to see if the game is over or not. Yeah.
Do we have to add the score count, or is that part of the assignment?
Keep score?
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know who won more than one game. You're looking at, it's the first person to win 2 out of 3 rounds. So you'd have to keep track of that somehow. So that's how I'm keeping score. So now I need to find out if either of the computer or the regular player has won 2 games. So I'm going to check for game winner if int p score equals 2, then print you won. And break elif int c score equals 2, print the computer won, break. Okay, so again, on this part, I'm saying who won that round, and then I'm incrementing the score, and then on the very next piece of this, I'm looking to see, did the player get to two rounds? Did the computer get to 2 rounds? If neither of those is true, it's just going to loop back. It's going to play another round, and it'll keep doing that. So that's the main round of this. Now, when it breaks, it is going to come down to this outer loop. Okay, so now I'm back in the main loop, and I want to say print do you want to play another round? str again equals input, yes or no. If str again equals no, then break. And if it equals anything other than no, then it's going to loop around again and play another round. If they say no, I don't, say thanks for playing my game. Goodbye. Okay, so that is back in the main line of the program after they quit everything. So here is the main program structure. Looks longer than it is because my text is so big, but this is, a relatively short program. So on this part, I am add points for winner of round. Okay, so now all I've got to do here is create my functions. So I'll start with the welcome message. That's just going to be a little 80 then we'll do rock, paper, scissors, and we'll do center in a line of 60, and then we'll plus. We'll just repeat this part, except we'll right justify it. And that's rjust. Okay, so there's my welcome message. And print, let's do a couple of new lines in there. Okay, so get player guess. All right, so this is where we want to force the player to give us something useful, right? So we're going to do a while true in here. Force them to give us good input. str input equals. Let's say input rock, paper, or scissors. Okay, so let's clean up the input. str input equals str input dot. Let's go lower and let's strip it. Okay, so now hopefully we have a lowercase r, p, or s, but maybe a lowercase rock, paper, scissors. So if str input equals r, or str input, str input equals rock, then return R. Actually, I'm going to have to do this instead. str return, because I got to break out of this first, equals R. Let's copy that, because copying is our friend. Friend. I'm kind of speeding through this part because we already covered this in class, more or less. So I'm going to build this out and make it for paper. Oops, that's still paper. Paper, P, S, scissors, S, and need a break there. Okay, so that'll keep going until they give us something good. All right, and then it will return str return. Ah, do, 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 do. And this is indented one too far to the right, which is why it was giving me the weird error, because we want outside the loop, not inside the loop. So there we go. Get player guess, we got it. Get computer guess, this one's pretty simple. We're going to create lists, guesses, and we're going to go R, P, S for rock, paper, scissors. Return LS guesses. Oops, we got to do random dot choice. There we go. We're going to return a random choice from that. That's just a 2-line thing there. But we're clear about what we're returning. In each of these cases, we're going to return an RPS, one from the player, one from the computer. So now get winner takes those two choices, and it's going to say if str pg equals str cg, that we know that's a tie, right? Okay, so return tie. We'll just return a capital T. I think I got capitals down here, P and C, yeah, okay. So we're going to return capital letters for this part so we don't get confused with rock, paper, scissors. Okay, so else, meaning if it's not a tie, then we have to figure out who won. There's 6 possible choices. So if strpg equals, and this is how I like to create this structure, but you don't have to do it this way. This is just how I like to do it. Now I know it's going to be RP or S here, so I could do an else for this last one, but I like to see each thing, R, P, S. Okay, so for each time the player chooses something, if the computer didn't tie, then we know the computer has 2 choices. So if strcg equals paper, elif strcg equals scissors. Okay, so I'm going to return in this case, if it's rock versus paper, the paper won, so that would be the computer. And the other case, the player wins, because rock versus scissors, the player won. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Now, I can copy this block and start just changing some of the values to save myself some time. So in this case, the player has paper, so the computer would have scissors and rock. So if the player has paper, the computer has scissors, the computer wins. If the player has paper and the computer has rock, the player wins. So there's that one. And this is the last one. If the player has scissors, the computer could have rock or paper. So the computer, if the player has scissors, the computer has rock, the computer wins. And if the computer has paper and the player has scissors, the player wins. So remember when I said I highly recommend keeping things in order, rock, paper, scissors? That was sort of a very subtle hint, because if you keep things in order, it makes it really simple, because rock, paper, scissors, if you invert it, that's the order of dominance. So now I have all of these possibilities. And I probably want to have a catch-all here. Now remember, if once it finds a match and once it hits a return, it ignores everything below it. So if it gets all the way to the bottom here, that means none of these things were true, which is impossible given what the other functions return. But just to be safe, we can have it return a tie just to be safe. Okay, so now I should have a complete program. I'm going to run a test here and we'll see how it goes. Okay. And when I run a test like this, what I'm looking for is, like, does the user interface look right? Obviously, my font is too big to show the full 80 characters wide, but other than that, we're okay here. So let's go rock, paper, paper. Okay, so what it's not doing is it's not saying who won. Okay, so I need to go back and I need to choose who won. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in this structure here. Okay, print you chose strpg. Computer chose that. We don't want a space between those, but we do want a space after it. All right, so now I'm just going to print a result here. Print a tie. Okay, so now this is easy enough. Actually, X. I'm going to do this a little bit. I can do this in a little bit less redundant way. If I catch this in the main, instead of putting that in the function, I'm going to put it here, the computer one, U1. U1 this round. Print computer won this round. Okay, so now there's a good reason for this else, because I want to be able to say it was a tie. Okay, so let's run it again with that little modification. Rock. Okay, the computer won that round. So tie. You won. Computer. Okay, so the computer won this round. The computer won. Do you want to play another round? Yes. Okay, then it goes back to the main menu. You know what I would like is I would like to see what the score is. So in between the adding the points and the game winning, I'm going to just report out the score real quick. The score, oops, little F string is computer and C score U P score. Okay, so now it'll tell me what the score is on each one. That'll be nice. So let's go. You won this round. Oh, I won already. Yeah, okay. Rock, rock. Okay, so that is the whole thing laid out from top to bottom. Now, I'm not going to share the code because I don't want people to do all the copying and pasting. At least to get all the answers, you're going to have to watch the video. But I will scroll through it here. Welcome message, get player guess. Okay. The reason this is so involved is because we're really forcing the player to enter the right thing. So if I entered other letters or anything else, it's going to keep going until I give it either rock or R. So otherwise we could make that a really easy one, but we want to be good with our player input. And then it returns that RPRS. Computer guess returns just RPRS, randomly guessed, randomly chosen from the list. And then the winner takes those two guesses as input and spits out a T, a capital T for tie, a capital C for computer one, and a capital P for player one, with all the different combinations. So there are 9 possible combinations. 3 of them are a tie, which is this part, and the other 6 are represented here. And then in the main program, it's just a matter of using those functions, the welcome message, initializing the variables, and then starting the game loop, which goes until we have somebody wins two rounds. So I get the player guess, get the computer guess, put them into variables. Now, if you're thinking, could we put this in here and this in here? The answer is yes. It will have the same effect. It's a little shorter, but I wanted to do it this way because I want people to be paying attention to what these are returning and how we're using them. So I'm taking that and I'm plugging it straight in. So you could put those functions, you can embed those functions as parameters, and whatever they return will get put in there. But this way it's a little bit easier to follow maybe. And then here we're adding points for each round. So if the player won, they get a point, and you give them feedback, the computer, and then it's a tie. All you do is you don't increment anybody's score because nobody gets another point, and we just play another round. Gives the score, and then finally it checks for a game winner. If either person has two, then it stops the game, and asks them if they want to play another round. Otherwise, it keeps going. And then if they say no, it just says, thanks for playing my game, goodbye. So that is rock, paper, scissors using custom functions. Those are the three functions that I described to you in the beginning. So hopefully that helps sort of give you some clarity in terms of how that assignment gets put together.